I'm being honest with you, for resources, just if you want to learn something, spin it up in your own lab, tinker around. I mean, maybe I'm just saying that because that's my thing is tinkering around, but just do it yourself. And I mean, figure out what's going on. That'll probably help you the best.
I would say probably Security Plus is a really good place to start for getting into cybersecurity. It gives you really strong baseline getting into the industry. On top of that, Hack the Box is also a really good place to start with just general security, defensive, offensive security. And then VulnLab 2 is a pretty good place to start as well.
Yeah, pretty much what everyone else said, CTF's Hack the Box. Another thing I could think of too as far as resources, podcasts like Dark Knight Diaries, I like that. It kind of gives you an idea of like what people in the industry do and just an idea of stories and what people share. So podcasts also are kind of a good resource.
Like everyone said, Hack the Box modules are really good to go back to and learn. It goes really in depth. A website I really like a lot for digital forensics is the DFIR report. The website goes really heavily into detail on different attacks, ransomware attacks, how to detect them, and like staying up to date is really important in cybersecurity. So DFIR report is really good for that.
Awesome, thank you. So y'all mentioned you had past internships and or current internships. So how did y'all look for those, and how would you advise these group of people to find them?
So for my first 2 internships at both Booz Allen and India National Laboratories, what helped me most with getting those positions were actually just talking to people in my community. The Booz Allen Hamilton internship was a internship I earned in high school, actually, that started as soon as I graduated. So before even my freshman year of college, and I was very fortunate for that opportunity. And then for India National Laboratories, there is a very nice professor on campus, Professor Chen, who is the principal investigator of the IoT security lab, and her main goal is to get students internships in national laboratories. So she helped me out with getting into Sandia.
Well, I don't have a super interesting story like that for my internship. I just sort of applied and got an interview. But I will say that doing stuff outside of class is most definitely what helped me get that CBTC everything. So they probably saw, okay, this guy's doing CBTC, this guy's involved, he's got certs under his belt, we want to take a chance on him. So I would say for that interview, like I said before, get involved.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that getting involved, really good. I found my first internship by chance. I was modding a game in my senior computer science class back in high school, and my substitute teacher got really mad at me, and she was like, "You should be, applying for internships instead." And she said, "Okay, go here and apply for this internship." And I did it, got an interview, and the rest is history.
For me, I was able to attend the Women in Cybersecurity Conference fall or spring of 2022, I believe. And from there, Southwest Airlines was taking applications. So I was able to do an interview in person, met a great contact, Hannah Hardy. She's amazing. She really vouched for me. So I would say kind of getting a contact at a company is really, really helpful. And then from there, I was able to get a second internship with them.
So actually, my friend just sent me my current job. My friend sent me the application. So I was like, okay, I might as well apply. But the best way to find them is LinkedIn. Sometimes Handshake is really good as well. But the biggest thing about getting the interview is good, but trying to get past that is hard. So just making it known that you're very passionate about cybersecurity and making sure that you're able to learn and you're very coachable is very important.
Awesome. So it seems like the common denominator, networking, guys. So put that at the top of your list, and then you can get all of these interviews and applications that they have also gotten. So y'all mentioned interviews. What was that process like? Was it 1 interview, 2 interview, and then I guess sample questions, if you are allowed to say any of them?
So within my interview processes, I've seen it be like 2 to 3 rounds, maybe 1 round. I've seen it focused on maybe more behavioral and personality, and I've seen a few interviews maybe be more technical. One thing that I've always been asked is, how do you get into cybersecurity? Or like, tell me about yourself. Do you have a good like elevator pitch that you can give us? Can you summarize your resume easily and like concisely? And just during the interview in general, I've always been asked questions about things on my resume. So ensuring that I have a good story behind every single thing I put on my resume has been a main priority for me.
This isn't being recorded, right?
I believe it's being streamed.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So please redact any information.
Okay, gotcha. Well, mine was pretty much fully scenario-based, technical. There was one interview. They sort of just took you through a scenario, and like you sort of talked to them through your methodology, and they had you pick like different categories of like, for example, like mine was specifically a pen testing role. So they're like, okay, here's a web app or a privask or internal network or whatever, and you just pick one and sort of go through the scenario. It was really interesting.
Mine was interesting. So it was one round, but the process has since changed, so don't expect it to be the same way. But for mine, it was 2 rounds of interviews, one with HR, one with the network engineering manager. The only technical question I had, I believe, was like, what's the TCP stack? Which at that time, I didn't know what that was because it was a long time ago. But yeah, that was one of the questions they asked me because it was a more networking based role. But since then, I've been asked a bunch of different questions about some various different topics, like tell us about everything you know about persistence on Windows or something like that. So there's a bunch of different questions like that.
Yeah, for me it was similar. We had 2 rounds of interviews. The first one was just with recruiters. Normally it's a phone call, but for me it was in person. The second interview was with the actual leader and another analyst on the team. And I know it was mostly behavioral for both. For the second interview, though, they did ask a few technical questions, not too technical. One was like, what do you think is the most vulnerable part of an organization? And I said it was the end user, which I think that answer scored me the position because the manager at the time, he was like, yeah, that was perfect. So yeah, first interview, behavioral, second one, kind of similar, a bit more technical questions for the team, which was incident response.
So mine was 3 interviews, 2 behavioral, and then 1 technical with the hiring manager or my current manager. I can't really go into what questions they asked, but knowing about the cyber kill chain is really important. Knowing your incident response and a little bit of forensics will carry you a long way.
Great, thank you. What are some ways to stand out in a competitive cyber internship or job app?
Like we've all said kind of up here, is competitions are really important. I've been able to very much talk at length about every competition I've done, and it's really helped me stand out. Aside from that, having personal projects are also really important.
Yep, pretty much agree with all of that. Projects are good, competitions are amazing. Certs as well can be very good just to stand out. And then something that I've found that a lot of people respect in the industry, pump out blogs. Blogs are amazing for showcasing your knowledge, for understanding the topics that you're writing about. Yeah, it's just fantastic to do that. Lots of respect in the industry for that.
Yeah, I agree with everything said so far. Definitely competition's a great way to do it, but it's not the only way. You have your competitions, you have certifications that'll get you far. Your classes can also, depending on which ones you take, can also speak volumes for you. But then I definitely want to emphasize the blog post stuff. If you learn a topic that's difficult that you've never done before, and you're passionate enough to figure out exactly how it works, and you know enough about it to write about it, that speaks volumes for your passion and your knowledge.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything everyone said. For me, I added a lab that I had worked on. So, even if you haven't done like competitions, capture the flags, adding labs from your classes also helps a ton. And then if you can speak on that, which is what I did for my interview, it helped a lot.
Like everyone said, projects are huge. That really helped me get my current internship. So setting up, like for me, I have something set up where I do a lot of malware analysis, finding IOCs, using basic tools, and then eventually I want to create a blog post about it. Like everyone said, blog posts they're amazing. HR loves that. So yeah.
All right. So we have 2 more questions, and then it'll be audience questions. So have y'all ever had an intern moment, and what did you do to get through it?
I wouldn't say I've had an intern moment in the traditional sense of maybe, I don't know, causing all the airplanes to stop working like Julian did this past summer. But I definitely... I definitely say I felt like that imposter syndrome and that anxiety that being an intern comes with. The most important thing is when you're struggling, reach out for help, talk to your project leads, talk to your managers, talk to the people around you, talk to your coworkers. That's like the most important thing you can do as an intern. They all know that you're there to learn, so take the opportunity to learn.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily an intern moment, but it was definitely a mess up that I was involved with. But I was shadowing an engagement. Actually, yeah, I was shadowing. I'm not going to say, of course, like the client or anything, but I will tell you like what happened. So the guy the full-time tester that I was shadowing, he performed an action and accidentally locked out the DA account, the domain admin account. And it was not very good, but like Alexis said, communication kind of got us through that. We were able to talk with the client and really sort out, what was going on, help them fix our little mistake. But it was pretty bad. So I'm definitely glad we got through that.
I definitely have had an intern moment before. Back when I was working for HEB, I was doing a scheduled maintenance at probably like 11 p.m. So I was really tired. But I was modifying, I believe it was a DNS entry. And probably about 5 minutes later, start getting alerts like, hey, the store's down. Oops. Thankfully, I was in a call with a full-timer at that time, and we worked through it together to fix it because we didn't realize it was a DNS issue. So we had to walk back, figure out, hey, what's wrong here, and how do we fix it? So
It's always DNS.
For me, my intern moments have mostly been mental. So it'd be like, not feeling productive enough, comparing my work to what other interns were doing. And I still struggle with it, but it's like you have to get out of your head and realize, they wouldn't ask you back if they didn't think you weren't good enough. So definitely just don't listen to your inner thoughts sometimes. I mean, speak with your manager, talk to your team. They hired you for a reason. So yeah.
So I've never really had an intern moment yet, luckily, but the biggest thing would be imposter syndrome. But being open with your manager is very important. You're at the internship to learn. So if you're having problems, talk to your manager about it. They should always be open to it. And again, you're just an intern. You're not the full-time employee. So if you do mess up, it'll be okay.
Lovely to hear. It's actually 3 more questions. My bad, guys. What are some misconceptions about working in this field that you'd like to clarify?
I would definitely say like the biggest misconception is that you're allowed to just sit in a closet and like type away on your computer all day. You're going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to present. You have to be able to write properly. All that stuff that, you got into this field to avoid isn't that avoidable. And being good at those type of things, having those soft skills will make you a more valuable employee because a lot of technical people struggle with the non-technical side of jobs.
Yep, I think I'm definitely gonna reiterate that one. I wasn't expecting to have to do so much like business stuff. Whenever I went into the field, got the internship as like for like pen testing, for example. But I mean, no, you're a consultant. You're expected to write your report. You're expected to give presentations. You're expected to speak professionally and do all those. You're expected to have the same consulting skills as everyone else, even though you have the technical side as well. So you really have to be the best of both worlds, which is quite difficult. Yeah, once again, business communication. I wasn't expecting it to be such an emphasis on it in the field.
I'd say probably the biggest misconception, at least that I've witnessed, is I can't fix your printer. It's always, oh, you know computer stuff. You can fix my printer, right? No, I can't. No, I don't. I can't. But like network engineering isn't just plugging in cables and typing on a keyboard. It's a lot more than that. And so the biggest misconception I would say, or one of them, would be I'm not just fixing a printer or something like that.
I think for incident response specifically, we kind of think like every day there's something new. There's like, something got hacked, the website's down. No, a lot of times it's just developers made a key and it's like that it was a suspicious event, but it ends up just being nothing crazy. And I think another misconception too, at least that I had, that you see the similar things, but everything is different. Every incident is not the same as the last. So documentation is always very, very huge with incident response.
Like a lot of people said already, communication is really, really important in cybersecurity. A lot of times you're going to be working with multiple teams. So for example, you have a SOC team, a incident response team, an engineering team, network team, etc. So being able to communicate with them is very important, because if you have a scheduled maintenance, you need to let the other teams know. So in case something does happen, they'll be on call or something like that. But communication is really, really important.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's all
Continue.
good.
Oh.
I was just gonna also say Jonathan also has a point. My sister thinks that I can hack her Spotify account, so yeah, I can't do that.
He can.
I was like, you might. Off the record, of course. This is kind of like a follow-up, but what is, I guess, the number one assumption that people make for your job?
Probably that we're all just like hacker geniuses. We just type away on the computer and then 5 seconds later, I'm in, we've busted through your firewall, which by now I think we all know that's definitely not the reality of what we do.
Nope. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with that one definitely. Most of testing, at least in offensive security, is just checking stuff and finding stuff. I mean, that's all it is. You're going through a checklist and you're making sure what's going on is how it's supposed to be. So yeah, it's not as interesting as most people would assume.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add on that. That's basically it.
I think for Southwest Airlines, at least, for me in my experience, whenever I've told people that I've worked there, they assume flight attendant, or when I say cybersecurity, they first think physical security, which I would prefer to stay behind the scenes, not in person doing that physical stuff. So for airline industry specifically.
Since I work at a bank, a lot of people think I have access to bank accounts and stuff. I don't. Sorry.
Cool. All right, one last question from me, and it's a gag question, so yay. Do you have a favorite meme or inside joke about cybersecurity?
I would have to say, I guess my favorite joke is kind of like that stereotype of just like hackers not showering, because it's like semi-true half the time, and I'm just so much fun. Please shower. Wear deodorant. Please.
So there's an inside joke that I'll share with y'all in the office at X-Force Red. So we have little bets that we can sneak Family Guy, like the word Family Guy, into like presentations sometimes. So it is kind of funny.
I don't really have one, except, I mean, I don't even work at IBM, but that's probably my favorite one.
One of the first like inside jokes I think I found out about when I started my first internship with incident response is that developers hate incident responders because we always bug them when they just do weird things, which it's not weird, it's just their job, but we always have to bug them.
I don't really have any inside jokes, but the stereotype is kind of true. Please do wear deodorant. Please shower. Yeah.
Noted. Thank you. So now we will turn it over to the audience. Does anybody have any questions for our panel? Yes. Can you scream? Yeah. Okay, per.
Alexis. So getting into the national laboratory, that process did take a while. I think the entire application and interview process ranged from February to all the way to end of March, which was kind of hectic because then I had to make moves to move down to Albuquerque, so that was fun. And yeah, with just in general, with a lot of government side work, you do have to tend to do some pretty thorough background checks, especially if you're going to go through any clearances process. That usually takes a long time as well.
Anybody else? Yes.
Yes, it did. So very fortunately in San Antonio, again, there's a lot of support for our younger cybersecurity students within the high school level. So the internship was given to me my sophomore year after becoming a national finalist for Cyber Patriot.
Others? Yes.
I can start with that one. One thing that they always recommended when we started our internship was get to know other teams. So, you get to see what incident response does or the pen testing team. So I think if you can make the use out of the entire organization and meet with other people and network with other teams, and that's how I got my second internship too with cloud security, just by getting to know other people in the industry.
I would definitely say, kind of wrapping up with some of the things I said earlier, making connections during internships is incredibly important. Again, not just on the managerial level, but also on the peer coworker level. You never know when these people will show up again in your life, and you never know what opportunities that they can pass on to you. With cybersecurity, it's often not what you know, but who you know and who knows you.
Anybody else from the panel?
Always ask questions. If you have any questions, always reach out to your manager or possibly another team. Again, you're there to learn, so try to utilize as much as you can. If you have any downtime in your internship, ask for a project or something to do, or ask if you could shadow one of the other team members. It's a really good way to learn what they do and what type of skills they have and what skills that you might be looking for as well.
Cool. Oh, Julian.
What would you say your biggest win during? Oh, thank you. What would you say your biggest win during your internship was? Or best moment, felt like you're on top of the world, best accomplishment even.
Well, right now I can't talk about my biggest win, unfortunately. But my biggest, let's see, what could I say about it? We did something really interesting that took a lot of work, that was completely novel, and we really hope it changes some things in the industry. So, yep.
Cool. Anybody else?
So, networking wise, so what would you say? So, for example, if I see an employer at a career fair or something, what would you say are some steps I can take to stay in contact with those employers? And also, like, how should I approach them so that it makes it known that I'm interested in my major and yeah.
I mean, I would say it's fairly important when you're like, especially going to like conferences or anything and you're talking to these recruiters, is first to make sure you approach them as people, you know, say like, hi, how are you? You know, my name is, before going into here's my resume, tell me I want a job, like all of that. Make sure you make that like personal human connection. That's definitely something that will make you stand out against other people. Because I don't know if you've seen career fairs, but I've seen a lot of people just go up, listen to a spiel, take the free stuff, and then like leave. Try and have a conversation, try and find some common ground, learn what the actual person does in their day-to-day, learn about their background, their experience, and just staying in contact with them. Make sure you get their LinkedIn. That's always a big one. You can reach out to them after the event, send a follow-up email or a follow-up message on LinkedIn and be like, hey, you know, we talked a bit. I just wanted to reach out, make a connection with you. And yeah, like you just need to keep that line of communication open.
Perfect. Thank you. Oh, yes.
For the girl with the Southwest T-shirt, do you think that now that you have done 2 rounds of internships, is it pretty much, I mean, like,
I do. I have a full-time offer with them.
okay.
Yes.
And for that, I mean, I know you said that you went from instant response and then now you're doing something different.
Yeah, so I did incident response first and then cloud security second, just to kind of see, you know, what that team did and get experience with cloud, because AWS is a whole different ball game. I still struggle with understanding everything, but my full-time offer is for incident response, so that I kind of was able to leverage, hey, you know, now that I know cloud and the teams work together well, so it helped boost my leverage with the company.
Just curious, what's everyone's favorite tool within cybersecurity?
For me, it's probably anything that enumerates AWS permissions for me, because it's very hellish and AWS does not have a built-in way to do it all for you. You just have to go through manually and do everything by yourself, and it's awful. So there's plenty of tools that help you like enumerate AWS like automatically, and I very much appreciate those.
I'd say it might be a tie between NetExec and Bloodhound. I think probably one of those two. NetExec is just so versatile; you can do everything with it, or almost everything. And Bloodhound is easily the best AD enumeration tool that you can get by far. So, yep.
I don't have very much experience with it, but Bloodhound is really, really cool. 100%.
For me, when I was with Incident Response, I really liked Carbon Black Cloud. My mentor showed me how to use the tool, and I remember he was showing me an example with one of the tickets we received, and someone had Discord installed, so he just did a command and just deleted it. So having that like insight into people's devices was very fun. A lot of power, but you know, with great power comes great responsibility.
So I'm really into forensics, so the Eric Zimmerman suite is really, really good if you're into forensics. Has a lot of tools and a lot of very, very useful tools that you can use and learn from.
Cool. Anybody else? This will be the final round of questions. Yes.
On the concept of tools, what would be... On the concept of tools, what do you guys think would be some of the best tools to learn, let's say when you're starting a home lab, like how to get yourself like started, like let's say an entry level like SOC analyst?
I would definitely say if you're attempting to, especially go into like incident response or in the blue team side of things, set up Metasploit or Caldera. Caldera allows you to like run automated red team attacks within your environment, so you're able to hunt for those IOCs, see if you have a seam set up like Elasticsearch or something, you can then detect on those as well. The tool, Caldera by MITRE.
I don't know about tool. Well, I guess it depends on what you're really trying to learn specifically. But I would say for Active Directory, there's not like a single tool specifically. It's more just learning Active Directory sysadmin that'll really help you in your lab environment.
Any more from the panel?
For SOC analysts specifically, learning how to use Splunk or Elastic is very, very, very important. Knowing how to query, how to create dashboards will get you really far.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the panel for answering my questions, and thank y'all for asking your questions. We did end it a bit early, so they may still be around for if you have any like one-on-one questions that you would like to say. But thank you, everyone, and please give it up for our internship panel.